Welcome everyone to this session, our Advancement Tableau User Group event that we're calling Speed to Fundraising Insight. I'm joined by my wonderful co-leaders, Mohammed and Elisa, and Jessie is out right now. Well, we miss her and can't wait for her to come back. And we have two fantastic presenters. I'm going to let Mohammed do the full introductions later, but I just love this topic because it's so much about the work that you do, and it's so much about getting it in the hands of people who need to use it. And this is what this session is all about. And I'm going to show you our agenda for today. Here we go. And as you can see, we have a raffle starting out, and this is for a $50 gift card to the Tableau store. And I'm going to hand it over to Elisa, who is going to do the raffle.
Thanks, Ron. So if you have joined us before, you are probably expecting this super fun raffle with animations, balloons, or hearts fall out of the sky. I could not get that one to work, so I built my own. If you didn't know, one of the very few data sources that you can maintain a live connection to in Tableau Public is Google Sheets. So I took the registration information from all of you lovely people who joined us in the session, put it in a Google Sheet and connected it to a Tableau Public workbook. You can do random functions that update in Google Sheets, which you can't really do. Like Tableau kind of supports randomization, but it's backdoor. So this is a more fun way to do it. So I'm going to share my screen with the dashboard that I built, and I have literally no idea whose name it's going to pull, which is, I think, really fun. I might add some bells and whistles for next time, but without any further ado, today's winner from the RSVP list of the $50 gift card to the Tableau store is Casey Blair. Congratulations, Casey. You don't need to be present to win, and I am going to take a screenshot of this because it would tell me a different person in the next hour. So
that is so cool.
Congratulations, Casey. If anyone has any questions about how I built that, the best way to reach me really is on Twitter. My DMs are open, but I'm around on LinkedIn. Maybe I'll put something about it in the Advancement Tableau user group. And over to Mohammed to introduce our fantastic speakers.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending with us this 1 hour. Today's speakers are special to me. All our speakers are special, but today speakers are special to me because I had the privilege to work with them for a few years working together, and specifically in the Tableau development area. Our speakers are in the opposite end of the spectrum of the workforce. We have Rob from South Carolina, who's many years expertise and working for the University of South Carolina for many years, and he's about to qualify for the retirement. He's probably about 2 years away from his retirement. And in the other end, we have Mia, who just from NYU, who just entered the workforce 2 years ago, or about 2 years ago. I will introduce Rob first, and then I will come back and introduce Mia. When I got a chance to work with Rob was already an expert in his field. He was using Click as a tool, and he was invited, just like we invited him today, to share his expertise with the advancement community in a lot of other conferences. When I joined the team in 2017, decided to introduce Tableau to the shop, even though they already had Click, and me and Rob decided to go to TC18. And after attending TC18, And I guess my experience was one of these great pilgrimage experiences where never been in a conference when there is about 20,000 people all moving at the same time. I was in 5,000, 6,000, but 17,000 plus is what we were told at TC18. And me and Rob came back as a convert from that. And since then, Rob become again an expert in his field using Tableau. I don't know if he still uses Click, but today he's going to show us and share with us his accomplishment at South Carolina using Tableau. Take it away, Rob.
Well, good morning, everyone. Mohammed kind of undersold a number of those things, but that's okay. We do still, admittedly so, have one-click document that's still hanging around for a little bit longer. But I would say that most of our other resources have been converted by now. But as the title of our session today is Speed to Fundraising Insights. But as he said in 2017 when we started this journey, sometimes it doesn't feel so speedy. It takes a lot of patience. I liken it to raising children and the fact that it takes a lot of patience, consistency, and persistency to get to where we want to be. Another thing I'll say from the beginning is that when we came up with these ideas, and when I say we, I mean that was a lot of Muhammad's ideas. I really didn't think we'd do it. As he's mentioned, I've been with the university for 26 years now. So it's been a minute and I've seen a lot of things. And so when Tableau came in, it just seemed too easy, too good to be true. And I just wasn't sure I was buying into it all. But again, the journey started there and the journey is nowhere close to complete yet, even though I may be gone in 2 years, but I'm not. But today's journey, we'll talk more about kind of, again, the process working in an institution of higher education. We were talking about this before everybody else got in the call about, if you can get it done in higher ed, you can get it done anywhere. And so I think we've all experienced, we all have a lot of the same similar organizational struggles. So we will go through some of that. There's my information. I've got a slide at the end in case we want to go through. But where we are today. So our current environment, we're organized in advancement services. We're under the Division of Development. We've got our gift processing and standards compliance. We've got information systems. We've got our data team, which we just got finished reorganizing a little bit. So we brought client solutions and training with data analytics so that we can better make sure that folks are using the tools that we spend so much time creating, mainly because they ask for them. So we want to make sure we're kind of completing that loop and following up and making sure that we are providing the solutions, not just providing a tool and then they forget about it. So, and then our prospect development used to be in our organization. We still consider them to be part of our family, although they don't necessarily fall under advancement services now. Each one of those are key components in making the progress we did. Obviously, creating a dashboard is only part of our journey. It takes a lot of people to make it so, and it really required everybody on our team to do so. A couple of years ago, 2 years ago, 2 years and 2 months ago, we converted to Blackbaud CRM. We're Azure hosted. We have their data warehouse, and we also have their read-only access. So that gives us direct access from Tableau to our data, which was really big. I wasn't sure we were going to get that when we first started. And then last year, we have had a Tableau Online license since 2017. Last year, the university signed a contract with Helio Campus, and so now we moved over to the university's instance of Tableau. For anybody who enjoys being in control as much as I do, it was a little bit of a growth experience to have to ask permissions for some of the functions, but I would say other than trying to just get used to a different environment and going through a few extra steps to make things happen, it's been pretty painless and very cost effective. Now, instead of worrying about our user licenses across campus, every staff member now has a site license to be able to view our view our resources, which comes in big when as we're trying to take it from just a development tool to being a university tool. So now we can start including more and more folks like deans in our data. So that's kind of where we are now. Oh, how did that get in? My bad. But so a few years ago, we started out with some goals. And again, that was 17, 18 range to present the timely, consistent information, transparency. I mean, all those things that might have seemed a little pie in the sky at the time. Worthwhile goals, not always easy goals. And again, when you've been around and you're not always sure that they happen. But again, they were solid. I guess I could say I think everybody here probably also experiences a number of leadership changes. We've had quite a number over the years, which did add some difficulty points to reaching our goals. I think we're about to swear in our fourth president, our fifth or sixth vice president, third or fourth provost, and a lot of other things. So again, to build out a consistent platform that everybody buys into with a changing cast of characters is not always the easiest thing, but again, it just helps us to shore it up every time we get an opportunity to explain it and talk about it to new leadership. I think it only solidifies our position and solidifies what we're trying to do. So again, worthwhile. So this is my nostalgia slide. I use it a lot because it's nice to remember where you were, because when you feel like things don't move quite fast enough, when you go back and see where you were just a few years ago, you can kind of appreciate the progress. And I think that's a very important step to accomplishing things that have never been done before, is building that momentum. And sometimes you have to do that by remembering that again, every day you're getting a little bit better. You're getting a little bit more buy-in. You're getting a few more people who understand what you're trying to do. And again, a big step. So I got 5 steps there. Wow, that's a lot. So kind of going over some of the key steps when we started this process, some simple things, making sure that the words we use are consistent with the CRM we're using. We tended to be creative and cute when we would create external resources that they didn't align with the system, which caused our users to struggle with kind of comparing what's in a report to what's in the system. So we really tried to adopt those system terminologies to ensure that when they're looking at a resource that we're creating, again, they know what it is. They're not trying to do that translation. Stability. One of the things we came in early was we don't want to keep changing what they're looking at. If we're expecting them to look at it every day, we don't want it to change, because where there's confusion, there becomes a little bit of mistrust, and they say, oh, well, it used to be there, it was there. So we try to keep it very consistent. We try not to make any changes. We try to maintain a fairly stable build for at least a year if we can get away with it. So we kind of say in January or July are the 2 times we might make a change. January would just be maintenance changes for the most part, and the beginning of the fiscal year, if anything is major, that's when we try to launch that. We did create a number of data marts to ensure that the information is consistent. Again, consistency is key. I use that word a lot because if we're consistent, and I have said it, I don't truly mean it, but I mean, even if it's consistently bad, at least it's consistent, so there's less confusion. And if it's consistently bad, it's probably easier to find that error so you can go back and fix it. And so making sure that we're using the same information, again, gives it more of an opportunity to be exposed. I mean, we try very hard not to do a lot of, I don't want to call it cover up, but we used to spend a lot of time trying to make sure the data looked good. Now we spend a lot more time trying to make sure the data is good. So if it's incorrect in the system, we don't mind it showing. Somebody needs to tell us so we can fix it. So yeah, that was a fairly big step and a big change in philosophy from what we were doing prior. You know, obviously you have to get in the decision makers, and so making sure that we provided resources to them in a way that they could consume them, very important step. And then, you know, in order to make this thing happen, when human resources realized that we could definitely, or that there were some specific and measurable goals, SMART goals, to be included in EPMSs that that we could align with the tools that they had to view them, then you know, I think that was a huge step in you know, kind of the validating what we were doing. And so we have, you know, HR, management, and the fundraisers all on the same page. Doesn't happen overnight. So let's see. So now we'll tell a little, we'll kind of go through the timeline by viewing some of the deliverables that we had. You know, we started out with the basics, you know, our site performance, just where's the money. We created the different counting methods for cash receipt and production so that it was good for the business managers and deans who typically like cash, and the fundraising organization that wants to see that production number. It was now available on a daily basis. The subscriptions, all the AVPs, VPs, and a lot of the leadership are subscribed to get it daily, so they know what our daily total is. If anybody calls and says, "How are we doing?" you know, they can answer that question very quickly. And again, having that consistently available to them is big. One of my favorite moments is when it doesn't run, which isn't my favorite moment, but my favorite moment is how quickly I can get a call that says, "Hey, this didn't run this morning," because people are looking at it, which is very important. The other one that we launched with back in 2017 was the fundraiser dashboard. Same concept, but this time we're exposing the fundraiser metrics, standard production, solicitations, personal visits. One of the keys here from the organizational side was how we collected the information in the CRM. Before, we had a very complicated means. In order for it to qualify as production, it had to have like 18 check boxes before it counted in their production totals. Solicitations were kind of the same way. Personal visits, it was very complicated. So one of the things that we did do was that in the system itself, now if they have a link, if they're linked as a solicitor to the revenue, it's under production. If they're a primary manager, or if they're a plan manager on an opportunity and they ask for it, it's a solicitation. If they're the owner of an interaction that has a category of visit, it's a personal visit. So that way, again, they can take more ownership. If it's not in their dashboard, first step is, hey, is my name attached to it? Did I enter it? Is it the right date? We still answer a number of questions about it, but that's the concept, and it's working. We continue to build out a few more resources. Some of these, this is a more modern screenshot of the dashboards that are in our dashboard or dashboards, but you know, some of them didn't exist. Like we've got the Atlas alumni engagement survey now that's wasn't there before, and revenue analysis, but we don't stop, we keep going. So then we transition to you know, the leadership were using the existing tools. They use site performance. They use the fundraiser dashboard. And I don't blame them. They're saying, well, I have to pull up each person's individually. You know, how can we do this a little bit differently? So we basically aggregated the information from the fundraiser dashboard and the site performance, again, using standard data marts to ensure the numbers are consistent between what the frontline fundraisers are seeing, what the business managers are seeing, and what the supervisors are seeing, what management's seeing. So in doing that, we created the team performance dashboard. And it is some of our AVPs are getting it on a daily basis. All are getting at least weekly. There are some departments that get it on a monthly basis. We've got a slightly revised version for athletics because athletics always does things differently. But I think there are only exception to that. This one now works for every other team that we have that's set up. Yeah, I wasn't on the right slide. So that's the one I was talking about. And this was a key part, obviously, to move to the point of having conversations with human resources and making sure that things are aligned. As this became the primary tool that leadership was using or supervisors, AVPs were using to evaluate, run quarterly performance reviews, annual performance reviews. Our prospect analysts use it when they do their quarterly reviews with each of the fundraisers. And again, it's looking at the usage stats, which I probably spend a little too much time doing. It does make me feel good that this one is getting the use it needs, and people are being able to get to the information that they're wanting. So let's go here. So all of that, I mean, I consider that to be foundational, and some of it, some folks may have seen before because I think I've talked about most of those things prior. But each one was an important step in getting to the point that we could share information outside of the organization. You can keep things in the family, but when you start sharing things in public, it gets a little different. And this has not been a short time coming. We had all plans to start sending data to the deans last year, but it hit many false launches. Every time it was about to go, there was a question or a change in leadership or other means of delaying what we have. So we finally got around to releasing it on February the 1st this year. I was excited when, after it went out, we got feedback. They were using it, so they had some suggestions that we most certainly made to include unit goals and cash receipt information in the report, to include additional fundraisers that have brought in money for their units. Again, same information that's everywhere else. We've got the fundraiser information, we've got the site performance information, and released to the dean. The first of every month, they now get an email that has that information. It also goes to the AVP that has that unit. It goes to the prospect analyst. It goes to the fundraisers that are associated with that unit. And that may be about it, but anyway, so it goes out each month, and it makes sure that every person that's involved in the life cycle of the fundraising operation are all on the same page. They see the same consistent numbers, it helps with ensuring the end of the month is one of those great times where everybody's making sure their numbers are aligned and everything's entered because they know it's going to their dean. We've had a couple of great periods of motivation when we first released the team performance dashboard, and our AVPs were starting to get it. There was an uptick in the amount of either way, an uptick in the amount of work that people were putting in to make sure that they were getting the right information there, and then it kind of levels off for a little bit, and then when the dean's dashboard goes off, people are very, very, very attentive to what their individual numbers are, knowing that this email is scheduled to go out the first of the month no matter what. So again, I think it's helped the data, it's helped the operation, it's helped the individuals, leadership, management. I mean, it's been it's pretty neat to be a part of that and to figure out that I was wrong so many years ago that we actually could do things like this. And it just doesn't happen overnight. One of the things is, as I said, I've got patience and persistence written all throughout my notes, just remembering how many times you bang your head on your desk when you're looking and you're trying to say, well, nobody's opening this, nobody's using it. How do we get people to consume it? You ask people, they send in a data request asking for information that they get on a regular basis or that's already available, which I would say is the real impetus to moving client solutions with data analytics to ensure that when we roll it out, we not just roll out a resource, but we roll out a resource with support to ensure that people understand it. So call it a journey in data literacy, I guess. But so that's the Dean's dashboard. It was again, when it went out, it was really a surreal kind of event. I never thought it would launch because every time it almost launched, it got put back in the can again. So now it's out there, it's being used. They're actually going to it, and it's pretty good. So looking at the time, I don't know what time I started, but where do we go from here? I know everybody knows that CASE released an updated guide last year, so we're trying to make sure that everything we have aligns with the updated CASE guidelines. It's a lot of education on our part to educate the organization who may not spend as much time looking through the binder of all the information that's there, but trying to align and coordinate, again, our terminology with the CRM, with CASE guidelines. Defining things by CASE guidelines means that we do not have to explain ourselves in areas much. We can just point to the book and say, this is what defines this. It works most of the time. And then with all the changes that we have, we are looking forward to preparing to bring a new president in the fold and a new vice president in the fold and a new provost into the fold, probably some new AVPs into the fold. And as soon as they're in the fold, we'll probably start the next campaign. So I think we can probably hear a collective amen from those kind of time frames, but that's where we are today. So I appreciate y'all listening. We'll stick around for a while afterwards to answer any questions that you may have. There's my contact information. Reach out any which way you want to. And oh, Columbia does rank as a great place to work. So just in case.
Thank you so much, Rob. You guys have really managed to do an amazing amount in terms of, trust, transparency, accountability. It's really inspiring to see what's possible with patience and persistence. And due to time, I think if you have any questions, put them in the chat and maybe we'll grab them at the end of the session or reach out to Rob directly. But I am going to jump into the next item on the agenda, which is the trivia question. So the trivia question, whoever answers it first also will receive a $50 gift card to the Tableau store. And I don't know if you've looked at it recently, but it is updated with a whole bunch of new swag post Tableau conference. So this is a pretty fun opportunity. So the trivia question today, I'll put it in the chat and read it out loud, is what is the fastest way to add a column header to a one measure text table? DM it to me directly so that other people can guess. And I will also share my screen real quick if that didn't make sense, so that you can see what I am talking about. So if we wanted to add gallons, for example, right here, what is the fastest way to do it? And I will pass it over to Mohammed. I'll announce the winner at the end of our session today and pass it to Mohammed to introduce our next speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Rob. That was fantastic. I was not expecting anything less than that. appreciate your time and contribution. Our mission is to inspire, and you did. Our next guest speaker is Mia from NYU. And Mia, actually, my story with Mia is I joined the team back in 2018, and Mia was still a student, and we were in two different floors. And I think it's about a year after that Mia was about to graduate, and all my colleagues are coming to me. I'm like, can't let Mia go, can't let Mia go. Then I said, okay, I gotta go down to second floor where Mia sit, and I'm gonna have to see her and get a. And I did that, and I kind of like initiated a couple of projects with her to get to know her, and definitely everybody was right. Mia cannot go. And we were able to convince her to stay with us. She's going, I mean, she's probably a semester or so from her MBA now. And she started with us the journey of Tableau. Then I asked her if she can come and share her experience, because she was there with us from the beginning. Then there is nothing else I can add to this. Mia, take it away.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Really excited to be here and to be presenting at this user group. My presentation is about creating a reporting catalog to increase transparency and usability. But I'll be going over sort of the journey of what we did up till now. A little bit about me. Really excited about data and experimenting with new BI tools. I'm about 3 years into the business intelligence development for advancement services. Participated in Cases 2020 Amplify Women and Gender cohort. So if anyone's curious about that, happy to chat about that. And I just started my MBA at NYU Stern. So if anyone's also interested in that, feel free to reach out at the end. Cool. So a little bit of background about the problem that we're facing at NYU UDAR. It's a large university with over 500,000 living alumni. NYU has over 130 gigabytes of alumni, prospect, and donor data, with new information being added daily. So this is a lot to work with, right? How, and the sort of problem, the task that the business intelligence development team faces is how do we quickly turn this data into insights so that fundraisers can actually act on it, in real time even. So looking at this is not a problem that us alone face, not even a problem that only advancement services shops face. But in a survey of over 2,000 companies from the US and Europe, these were the leading challenges that businesses face with using data to drive business value. And that's the real goal here, right? We're doing all of this so that we can actually drive business value. 41% of companies cited a lack of analytical skills among employees, 39% due to data quality, 39% due to managing compliance, 36% to data democratization, 35% to organizational silos. I don't think anyone here is unaware of these sort of challenges working in Tableau and services. But if we see sort of the first column of problems, a lot of that is addressed now by the fact that we have this business intelligence development team that can control data quality, managing compliance, and the lack of analytical skills. We're doing that all internally so that we can provide visual dashboards through Tableau that make it really easy for fundraisers and other development officers to take advantage of data and turn that into business value. I'll be talking a little bit about the other leading challenges later and how a BI catalog can actually help solve the data democratization issue, as well as the organizational silo. So a little bit about our evolution. In the summer of 2019, we began the shift from standard reporting to dynamic BI solutions. Sort of much like Rob mentioned before, we had these static reports that would export Excel or CSV spreadsheets on a daily, weekly, monthly basis into box folders. So that's a little bit of what this picture up here represents. It was not a very efficient or user-friendly way of delivering information and data to our development officers. And so we began this project to start using Tableau dashboards as well as a self-service sort of software, SSRS, so that we could really provide better solutions and deliver business insights to our team. So only, I guess, even less than a year later, in March 2020, we launched the BI portal with 26 dashboards and self-service reports. This is a big change, from our static reports, and it was the first time rolling out dashboards and self-service reports to our broader department. But it was really a great time to be able to get that accomplished and finished as a project. Fast forward to today, or more recently, I guess, in September of 2021, we created the BI Solutions Catalog to allow users to search through 140 dashboards and self-service reports, which we now have live on our production website. You can see it's more than 5x growth in dashboards and self-service reports between March 2020 and September 2021. We've been really busy here at NYU, making sure that we're always building more ways to derive value from this large amount of data that we have. So I'm quickly going to switch the screen so you guys can see the BI portal that we have. This is our BI portal, and you can see it hosts a bunch of our really wonderful reports. A lot of the early ones in that 26 cohort that we launched in the very beginning. You can see our fundraiser dashboard, a manager dashboard, portfolio classification. We also have reports categorized by the department that they, have a primary use case for, as well as some previous fiscal year snapshots, so that people can easily compare sort of how we were performing in prior years to sort of the live production dashboard. And this is always very fun to show. It's very visual. You can get a clear idea of sort of what the dashboard looks like, even from this nice BI portal website. Going to quickly switch back to the presentation. So the issue that we really came across is that we have this wonderful BI portal with 26 dashboards and self-service reports, but now we grew to 140, right? That's 5x. There's no way that we can put all of them on our portal anymore. But we really wanted to make sure that we were being transparent with the reports that were accessible to everybody. We wanted to make sure that standards were consistent across all reports. And we wanted to make sure that people could, if they needed a report on alumni in one section, we weren't creating a whole new report for them if it already existed out there. It just wasn't on the BI portal. So a quick look at first, before I get to the big surprise, the catalog. I'm going to go over some of the nice stats of how we performed. We used to have 464 recurring spreadsheet reports retired. So now we have 140 new BI solutions created. And this is one of the big accomplishments of the switch. Rather than having all these sort of static spreadsheets in Box, we have a handful of these really dynamic BI solutions. Along with this, we saw a 60.6% decrease in ad hoc retrieval requests. You can sort of see how it was growing over the years from 2016 to 2019, and that dramatic drop over 50% drop from 2019 to 2020 as a result of this sort of switch to dynamic reporting. So back to the BI catalog. Why create it? It's really sort of to encourage these strong values back to the whole purpose of this, which is to drive business insight. So transparency, we want to share data insights across all UDAR units to discourage organizational silos. We also want to encourage usage. So we want to make reports user-friendly with short descriptions to tell people, what is this report about? And also by letting them know, where is the data coming from so they can better understand the metrics they're viewing. Third, exploration. We want to encourage people to explore the tool and to explore the vast amount of reports and dynamic solutions we have. And then the last is training. Instead of coming back to us for more ad hoc requests or a new dashboard even, they can actually go in and see, these are all the things we already have. Why not take a look and explore and see what these other things already do before coming back to us and asking for a new report. It also, actually encourages data literacy as people are becoming more familiar with how to parse and understand the information already presented to them. Okay, so this is the very fun part, which is a live demo of our current BI catalog. So I'm going to switch my screen back and you guys will get to see sort of exactly what we're up to. This is our BI catalog. At the top, you can see we have a filter for the two main types of reports that we use here. We have Tableau reports, which you're all hopefully familiar with, as well as SSRS reports. I'm just going to filter on Tableau for now, so we can just look at the ones that are more relevant to this cohort of people. And then the purpose, right, is to encourage preparation and access to these 140 BI solutions. We're trying to provide people, therefore, with easy ways to search this large catalog. So we have 4 different search bars up at top. Here we have the report name. So let's say a development officer is in a meeting with a colleague and their colleague keeps on talking about this unit performance dashboard, but it's not on the BI portal. How exactly are they going to be able to find it? If you type in unit performance, enter, there it pops up. Here is a link to the actual live dashboard in production. And so people can easily click this and be taken right straight to the dashboard. Another next search bar that we have is purpose or description. And so we actually spent time to write out the purpose and description of each of our dashboards. And as we publish new ones, we also do this for them. And it's really important because people can actually know, why was this dashboard created? What can I use it for? And the description goes a little bit deeper into sort of the different components of the dashboard and the metrics that they're seeing and what they're all bringing to the whole story. So the next search bar is our data search bar. And this one is actually pretty important because let's say that a development officer is looking specifically for only parent information. Maybe the report name doesn't have that in there, or maybe the description is talking about, how to navigate the dashboard. But what they really want to care about is, parent data that they can filter in a certain way. If they just type in the parent here, they can see everything which uses parent data. And so the lovely thing about this catalog, right, is it's meant to be really intuitive to the user, and it's really meant to encourage that sort of exploration and understanding of what information people have access to and how do they access it. So the last one is a filters category. So, let's say that people are interested in parent or alumni data, but they want to filter it in a certain way. That's where this sort of search bar comes in. And so let's say I'm a fundraiser and I really, to be honest, only care about my portfolio of prospects. It's not exactly fundraiser data that I want to see. It's not data about me. It's my fundraiser portfolio that I really care about. So I'm going to type in fundraiser here. And I can see all of the reports that we have that have fundraiser as a filter, which means I can see everything that will give me just my portfolio information. And if we look at the purpose of these different reports that just popped up, we can see that there's a fundraiser dashboard where I can see metrics on how I'm doing and if I'm keeping up with my goals. I can also see things like active proposal projections for just my portfolio. So all of the active proposals that I should be tracking and when they're expected to come in, so I can make sure that I hit my fiscal year deadlines, as well as this current portfolio activity report, which is pretty fun. You can see all of the contact activity between you and all of your portfolio prospects organized by rating in descending format. And this is nice because, let's say the fundraiser dashboard and active proposals projections shows how you're performing on a proposal or giving level, but you also want to know about how you're actually interacting with your portfolio prospects. That's what this current portfolio activity dashboard will do for you. Yeah, so this filters here gives you a little bit of a different flavor of what you can really search for among our suite of BI solutions. And I think in combination with the data search, it gives you a lot of power in terms of understanding, okay, this is sort of the underlying data population that I want. And these are the important filters and important ways of segmentation that I also need for whatever business case I am accessing the catalog for. Yeah, so this is sort of a quick look at our business intelligence catalog and how we're, in a larger journey of going from static reports to BI solutions to a bunch of BI solutions for a database of 130 gigabytes of data. These are sort of how we're consistently evolving to make sure that we're continuing to deliver value to our advancement team.
This is so fantastic. Bravo. I mean, I think that congratulations to you and the team. And, one of the things that occurs to me while you're doing your presentation is how important it is to understand your users, to empathize with them, and think about how is the best way to get that information. It's not just about knowing Tableau. Tableau development is this entire universe of thought, and this user adoption is a stellar way of doing that. And of course, with Tableau, whatever you think of, you can do, and that's something I had never seen before, and it's just so well done. I do have a question. I want to see if anyone else has a question out there. Okay, I'm going to just go ask it. The data structure behind all of that is so slick. Is that how are you managing that?
The data sources behind the BI catalog? Yeah.
Yes, kind of all the different attributes.
Yeah. So the nice thing is it was a sort of a big push to do the initial sort of purpose and descriptions for all of our dashboards. But in reality, that's something we should be doing on a consistent basis. And it's something we're doing, as we create new dashboards. If we can't say what the purpose and the description of the dashboard is, why are we really creating it? And that's pushing back to the whole idea of making sure our users are forefront for our design. And I guess in terms of right now, it was sort of this more manual push, but going forward, we're trying to sync up with our servers in order to make sure that, we're not missing anything new that's getting published. It's going to be dynamically collected. So a little bit of that manual process is being taken away.
Fantastic. And I just, being thoughtful and mindful about each dashboard and its purpose avoids having hundreds of thousands of dashboards that conflict, and and also gets people thinking about whether we need another dashboard or is it part of another dashboard, and that internal documentation. I love that impact portion as well. Like it's part of the process is expressing the impact and getting rid of all of those ad hocs and redundancy. That's an important part. Thank you so much. And there's a call. We have a couple shout outs. There is a higher ed Slack channel that Tim is inviting everyone to. So that's in the chat. And I think Elisa has a shout out about an upcoming competition and maybe the results for the raffle.
I do. So I will start with a shout out for the upcoming competition. The APRA data science team about once a year runs a real world fake data competition where you sign up to participate, and there is an entire data set that it's around donor retention, and you get a couple weeks. I think there's about 2 or 3 weeks left at this point. And you can, it's tool agnostic, but I think Tableau is a pretty popular choice. And you send the submissions in. A few folks are selected to be featured presenters. I was last time, and it was a fantastic experience. And I would encourage anybody who's interested to take part in that challenge, publish your work to Tableau Public. So, and even if you're just using the fake data to recreate something that you've already built at work, but without having to go through approvals, it's a great opportunity to kind of get best practices out there and build our community of practice so that you can kind of have more of that catalog of possibilities to show to your leadership, especially if you're earlier in the journey and they're like, we want a thing. And you're like, what do you want? And they're like, we don't know. And you're like, what about something like this? In terms of an update on the trivia, I got a lot of suggestions, but nobody has come up with the right answer yet. I'm going to demo the main suggestion that I got right now, which was drag measure names to columns. But when we drag measure names to columns, ooh, no measure value. So that's a good option if you have multiple measures, but it doesn't work in this particular use case. So since no one has come up with it, there we go. Kelly Douglas is our winner today. She just threw the answer into the chat. And so I will demo that for you guys so that everyone can know, because it's a great tip. She says, type it manually. And there we are. In web edit, you can't hide the header, but in desktop edit, you can. And so that is the only way that I know of to easily add column headers to a one measure. Congratulations, Kelly. And if you want more fun info like this, I am absolutely spoiling this for next time. Go to Twitter and search hashtag Tiny Tableau tips for absolute mind-blowing information.
That is awesome. Very, very cool. Congrats, Kelly. Sometimes it's nice. You can create a calculate field as a dimension too, or that inline calculate field is very effective. So I'm just going to share my screen. So to wrap things up, I want to thank Mia and Rob for their fantastic presentations, and all of you for joining us. We will be sending out a recording soon. Please invite your colleagues to join us. The more the merrier. We want even more presenters, more involvement. And if any of my co-leaders want to say goodbye or anything else, I'll hand it off to them before we sign off.
Yeah, let me thank Rob for his time, Mia for her time as well, and the insight that she shared with us. If you're wondering how do I get to present when you RSVP, select yes, and I will reach out to you and make sure we set up time to talk about what's the topic and how you want to present to the community what you learn and what you want to share with them. Then just select yes. That's an indication that you want me to reach out to you, and then we'll have a conversation from that. Thank you all very much, and enjoy the long weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.